Hey there internet, and welcome to another video. Today we'll take a look at the perks and sabotages in the most recent patch, the St. Patty's update, and give you a quick rundown on today's tier list along with some perk combos. If you liked the video, leave a like, and subscribe for more videos coming out soon. Without further ado, let's start this tier list. Starting off, we'll cover the survivor perks. Most of the time, I'll be talking about the perks at level 3 unless I mention otherwise. First up, Distant Savior. With a 40% increase at your saving speed, getting a fellow survivor out of the pit under the watchful eye of a monster can be game winning. I'll rank it B for how versatile the perk can be and make some great impacts from game to game. Next up is Genius. It increases how long the lights stay lit for you to memorize in the memory puzzle. Not a big fan of needing this since after a while you tend to notice the patterns of how the lights get lit. Memorize the bulk and the edges are easier to guess in the worst case. Plus the top left light is always lit, so you just need to memorize 7 lights. Would definitely change the perk along with some balances, more on that soon. F rank for me. Next we have Leadership. I placed it in C because it could be great to have as a third perk, helping out from time to time. Not always will the monster be able to corner you, so they take a few swings here and there. Having someone with this can be life-saving, I would know, but sometimes you need to use a different third perk and hope someone brought it with them. Leave No Trace got a huge buff to it, throwing it to 8 tier while leaving no footprints behind. Ever. Now the monster has to track you down with sound alone, making it harder to track long distances thanks to this. One of the must-have perks in my opinion. And speaking of must-have perks, Master Pianist is next. Reducing the piano puzzle by half of its patterns is an amazing time save alone. I find doing all 6 patterns such a chore compared to doing other puzzles, so I'll have to throw it into 8 tier just for its usefulness. Alright, we're on to Punching Bag now, with a whopping 45% increase to health. It means at least 1 to 2 extra hits from Huggy and Mommy with at least 2 to 3 extra from Boxy. It can be life-saving when you go for risky plays, but you can also play a bit more cautiously and always keep your distance from the monster. It's a B for me. Next perk was a rework, changing Power Walker into Roly Poly. This perk honestly gets an F rank with how it works. From level 1 to 3, it increases your roll by 1.5 times, 2 times, and 2.5 times. The biggest problem is not being able to steer this, causing people, and definitely not me, to roll into objects and walls stuck in the rolling animation. You can't jump out of it, you're just stuck rolling. And yes, you can get some good distance, but nothing B-hopping won't cover. Shadow Walker is up next. Looking at the patch, it had a small change. Your crouching speed increases by 100%, allowing you to crouch quickly away into the darkness. It might seem nice, but I honestly tend to run more than anything, so I'll place it in the D tier as it still has some small uses compared to other perks in the F tier. Last on the perk list, Think Fast rounds it up. It had a huge change due to some balances around the reflex puzzle. It used to take 10 hits to solve, increasing it now to 16 to allow monsters more time to sneak up. Survivors are still quite strong even after the instant reviving was patched. So now Think Fast takes 6 hits off the reflex puzzle, making it match the count before the patch. I'm fine with the balance changes, making the second most useless perk before the patch into such a star, getting a place in the A tier. If you're looking for some perk combos, anything from C tier and above make for a great combo. Though I do have some suggestions. If you want to go for some extra tickets getting saves and running at the monster to save a survivor, Punching Bag, Distant Savior, and Leadership make for a great saving build. Take some hits, save a survivor, and heal them as you run away if you're dealing with monsters hanging around the pits. Objective players will love taking Master Pianist, Think Fast, and Leave No Traces, allowing for some quick getaways while knocking out puzzles around the map. Remember, puzzle progress saves, so knowing where a monster is first, keeping your distance, and doing puzzles slowly opposite of where the monster is can clutch a win for survivors. For me, my favorite perk combo would have to be Leave No Traces, Master Pianist, and Distant Savior. This combo to me is the most fun, and just melds with my gameplay at the moment. Still, like I said, you can really mix any of the 6 perks and still get a helpful or interesting combo. With this update, there wasn't much of a change to Sabotages. I'll give a breakdown of the Sabotages info while discussing how they can be used. Our first sabo is going to be Boobytrap. In each map there are 9 puzzle pillars that can be completed. This sabotage will, like the name, booby-trap 4 of the closest pillars, hurting the survivors that try to interact with it. The damage isn't all that much. Somebody running Leadership could heal them back to full before you get a chance to get across the map. Best used if you see survivors on a pillar, hurting them badly so that it only takes 1 or 2 hits to knock them down. It doesn't feel all that strong and somewhat situational, placing it in the D tier for me. Directionless is our next sabotage, ranking in the F tier. All it does is remove outlines and info from survivors looking for the train, toy parts, and active puzzles. To new survivors, this might be a scary sabo, but to survivors who have played at least a few days, this sabotage changes nothing. The pillars don't randomly move each game. The train can only be at 1 or 2 spots, and finding toy parts can wait till after the sabotage ends. It's a pretty useless tool for monsters. Next up, we have Feeding Frenzy, a strong sabotage in the right hands. If you down multiple survivors, the biggest issue could be getting them into feeding pits in time. The self-revive mechanic went from 60 seconds down to 30 seconds, giving you less time to act. This is where Feeding Frenzy comes into play. All down survivors will be sent to the closest free feeding pit. I rank it a solid B as it can be very useful, but again, only in the right hands and depending on the situation. Another sabotage in the B tier is going to be Living Nightmare. Before, I thought this was a pretty weak sabo, but after having played against it with some good monster players, I've changed my mind. All survivors will be covered in a dark fog, blocking their sight to only just around them. This is great for sneaking up on survivors and trying to cut them off in a chase. Though if they do pay attention to sound, they can still track you as a monster in the darkness. But very mobile monsters will have a greater advantage while using the sabotage. Now, we have No Escape next. Grapple handles and crash doors stop working, while the lockers open up revealing anybody inside. I put it in C tier due to being somewhat useful, removing tools the survivors can use while in chase. If survivors keep running and keep the monster at a distance, the sabo lacks a bit compared to another sabotage we'll talk about soon enough, either used in certain situations or areas where survivors can't make distance as easily. In this recent update, the biggest change for the worst would have to be No Pack. It can only stop the usage of grab packs for 15 seconds, mattering only to those who are running alone. If you are near someone else, they can instantly fix your grab pack now compared to the 25 seconds it was before. I thought maybe make a small change to the repair time, like 15 seconds, while keeping the 30-second no usage timer. But now, it's incredibly weak, getting the F rank treatment compared to other sabotages. Our first and only sabotage that I feel like should be in the A tier. Shutdown, stopping all puzzles from being completed and forcing survivors to gather at 1 or 2 breakers to reactivate the puzzle pillars. It takes survivors 20 seconds to reactivate a breaker with a grab pack. If you push them off before completion, it slowly reverses its progress. Now you just gotta patrol these 2 points with great care, and you end up with a survivor or 2 easily. I've seen a monster hold these points late in a match for at least 2 minutes. Boxy's great with his spring jumps to get around, while Huggy with the help of his Wuggies keeping an eye on things, and letting you know which breaker is being worked on. It's the best sabotage to use to gain time, and get a few survivor downs aiming for the win. Lastly, for the sabotages, it's going to be Total Lockdown. All crash doors close, locking off major sections of the map from survivors during the chase. Problem is, it'll lock you out too, so you have to get around taking a variety of paths. Best for those who have great memory of the map's layout, finding unique ways to catch up to Survivor, placing it as a B tier for the very last sabotage. I hope this helped you understand the changes this past patch and maybe give you a few new ideas on how to change up your gameplay. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for more videos coming out soon. Till next time.